All right, so front of this thing, rewrite using radical notation. The main rule on this is x to the p over r is the rth root of x to the power. That's all that 1 through 3 are is rewriting. There's a secondary rule on number 2, but the first one's really easy. The power is 3, powers are up high, and the root is 4. Roots are down low. So this is the 4th root of a 3 cubed. Ta-da! This one's got a little more to it in that we have a negative exponent. So we need to think about this rule that x to the negative n is 1 over x to the n before we do anything. It's the first thing we need to worry about. This is actually 1 over 5 to the 4 thirds power. And some kids do that in their head, but I need to show you what's going on. But anyways, now we can apply the same rule we did over here. All right. Here the root is the third and the power is the fourth. So we're taking the cubic root of 5 to the 4th. Easy peasy stuff. All of this, 3x is all to the 5 6, so it's as simple as a 6th root of 3x. Don't forget, both pieces in a set of parentheses or it's wrong. To the 5th. Ta-da! Other way around, exponent notation. Same rule up here. Just reverse it. This is the power, and this is the root. So we're talking about 4 to the 7 thirds power. Same thing over here. Power is 3, root is 4, x plus 3. Don't forget to wrap or it's going to be wrong. And then we got the 5x. The square root has the understood 2. A lot of people forget that. But anyways, it's 5x to the 3 halves. Oh, parentheses. Parentheses matter. All right, evaluate without the use of a calculator, which means you show your steps. So this is the square root of 16, and we're going to turn around and cube it. Power is 3, square root. That becomes a 4 cubed, which becomes a 64. Notice I want to show your steps. I don't really know that you need it. Number 8, cubic root of negative 125 is negative 5. There's really not much you can do with that. This one, you're going to take the cubic root of a negative 64 and you're going to 4 it. So the cubic root of a negative 64 is negative 4. Then you're going to raise it to the 4th power and you're going to get 256. All right, here we have 1 over 81 to the negative 3/4 power. That is the 4th root of 81 that we turn around and cube. We raise it up high, it had a negative exponent. The 4th root of 81 should be 3. So this becomes 3 cubed, which is 27. Here we're taking the 4th root of 16 and raising it to the negative 7. I'll worry about that negative exponent in a minute. The 4th root of 16 is 2. This is 2 to the negative 7th power, which becomes 1 over 2 to the 7th. That should be 128. Should probably check that. Yeah, it's 128. Approximate using a calculator. I don't know why I left these questions in here. But, there's a lot of kids who have no idea how to do this in a calculator. They just don't know. So this is for you. 85 rooftop, 1 over 6. Ta-da! What hundredth? Second decimal. 2.10. You can actually type this one in as exactly what it is. I'm going to hit math, number, numerator over denominator, 1 over, parentheses, negative 17, close parentheses, rooftop, 3 over 5. Ta-da! It's not hard. Negative 0.18. And 14, what I would do on 14 is I'd think about this as 87 to the 3/4 power. 87 rooftop, 3 over 4, 28.49. All right, moving on. You're supposed to solve the equation using nth roots. Round, if necessary, round to the nearest hundredth. Remember that even roots have at least 2 answers. All right. X to the fifth, what you would do is you would take the 1/5 power of both sides because they are reciprocals. The reciprocals, when you're dealing with exponents, cancel each other out. So X is going to be negative 48 to the 1/5 power. It says round, so negative 48 rooftop to the 1/5 is negative 2.17. I think it says hundredth. Moving on to 16. You got to divide out your 7 first. Seems like that's 8. No? X to the fourth is 8. I'm going to take the quarter root of both sides. It's going to be a decimal. There's one of the answers. It turns out, though, that if you take a negative and raise to the fourth power, it's positive. So we also have the negative 1.68. One of two. All evens have two answers. Let's see, I add 44. X of 2/3 is a 225. Seems right. 225. I'm a little old school, so I like to do things a little bit by hand. And I do that so I have a better context of what's being asked, which is something a lot of y'all just push buttons, you forget. I am asked to take the square root of 225 and cube it. Now, if I take the square root of 225, because I'm solving for x, I'm going to have plus or minus 15 that I have to cube. See, if you do everything in a calculator, it won't show you that. And I'll go back and I'll just, do stuff in a calculator later, and I won't see it. But sometimes, unless you write it, you forget what's going on. That had a power of 2. There was 2 solutions to it. That's a fact. And I'm pretty sure the root of 225 is 15. But I'm supposed to turn around and I'm supposed to take this thing and cube it. If I cube the positive, I get 3375. If I cube the negative, I get negative 37375. So plus or minus 3375. Now, what a lot of you smarter kids do, because you're teenagers, you know everything there is to know, is your only line would be this. That'd be your only line you might even write. And you just go to your calculator and you'd push the buttons. And now you're thinking, well, not me, Mr. Milbrath. Yes, you. I've done this for a long time. I don't care what your name is. You would make this mistake. And that's all you'd write down. That's it. 3375. Heck, I'd do it on occasion. I've been doing this for years. Maybe 1 through 17. I'll probably go through 19 and stop this video because the content changes. Probably go through 20 actually. I don't know. Anyways, 18 and 19, solve using nth roots, if necessary, round to 4 significant figures or significant digits. So I'm actually using a little science notation there. I'm gonna take away 10. That'll give me a 64. Twice x plus 10 to the 5th is 64. Divide out my 2. X plus 10 to the 5th is now 32. The opposite of the 5th power is going to be the 1/5 power. The 5th root of 32 is going to be positive 2. So x plus 10 is 2. X is negative 8. Went hard. 19 has 2 answers because the power is 4, an even power. Raise both sides to the 3/4. The 4th root of 256 ought to be 4, plus or minus 4. Let's talk about what it's actually showing here. That is the 4th root of 256 that you turn around and cube. Now the 4th root of 256 should be 4. Because I'm solving for x, I need to use the plus or minus symbol. And if I plus or minus a 4 that's cubed, I get plus or minus 64. Then I add my 5. I'll get 69, or what's the other one? Minus? Negative 59? 69 or negative 59. And 20 is still kind of related to this one. Then it shifts tasks. So I'll stop this video at 20. Factor and solve, find all complex solutions, round to 4 significant digits if appropriate. I have no idea if it is or not. There's two ways of doing this. One technique has evolved using the U method, which a lot of kids don't like, and honestly, I don't think any of them like it any less, but I'm going to teach the U method. We're going to let U be x to the 1/5. What this means is that U squared is x to the 2/5, which is great, because this piece can become U squared. And remember, U is x to the 5th, so that's minus 9U, and then minus 10. Now it's a quadratic that looks a lot easier to solve. We'd have U minus 10, and I believe U plus 1, if my math is right, equals 0. So I use a zero product property. U minus 10 is 0, and U minus 1 is 0. It gives me that a U value is 10, or a U value is 1. But wait, screwed this one up, didn't I? There we go. But wait, U is x to the 1/5. So x to the 1/5 is 10, or x to the 1/5 is negative 1. These are easy to do. The opposite of the fifth root is the fifth power. Bottom one's easy. Negative 1 times 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 negative 1 is still negative 1. The top a little harder, but not really. You know, if you do 10 squared, you get 100, which means you add 1 0. So to do 10 to the 5th, you just add 5 zeros, nothing more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get a million. A million or negative 1 is your answer. And that's a good stopping point for this particular video. I'm going to take a small break, come back and do the rest of it. At least the rest of this page maybe. It gets a little rough.